Our correspondent Okocha has more details in this package.
These 26 lawmakers say they are not threatened by the ongoing demolition. During their sitting, they all voted in favor of converting their present location, the auditorium of the Rivers State House of Assembly quarters, into the hallowed chamber. They claimed that the action of the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, was politically motivated.
I'm convinced that the motive of this demolition is to pave way for the governor to abuse reason to have a meeting with his friend in the government house and make it impossible for proper investigation of the burning of the hallowed chamber and prevention of the legitimate sitting of this house.
As tensions threaten to escalate, the lawmakers led by Martin Samehile are calling on the federal government, security agencies and the international community to intervene.
From this voting, the House has thereby resolved as follows. 1. To condemn the brazen and unlawful and heartless demolition of the Rivers State Assembly complex by Siminalayi Fubara, Governor of Rivers State. 2. To draw the attention of the federal government of Nigeria, the Inspector General of Police, the international community, and particularly the United Nations, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and other well-known democracies to the constant attack by the governor on the legislature of Rivers State and an asset democracy.
They also passed the Rivers State Funds Management Bill and the Rivers State Local Government Amendment Bill into law. They are continuing with legislative business, even though their colleagues on the opposing sides have declared their seats vacant.
This bill will impact on the fortunes of our people. Anyone who has interest in our people, interest in our states, will agree that the bill is timely.
It's the second time in less than 2 months that the lawmakers would be displaced, but they insist that they are prepared to converge on any location in spite of the controversies surrounding their legitimacy. Okocha, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Okocha joins me on the news now to discuss the latest on the Rivers State political situation. Okocha, bring us up to speed with the present development in Rivers State.
Right now we know that the demolition exercise has entered day 2. As at the first day of this demolition exercise, I counted about 11 bulldozers. But today, perhaps they feel like the workload has reduced. The number of bulldozers currently at work they were at work earlier today at the assembly complex have dropped to 5. But what I can tell you for sure is that demolition exercise certainly hasn't come to an end. Considering the pace at which they are moving, I can predict that the demolition would continue into day 3, 4, and possibly 5, if the intention is to completely level the place to the ground. But if they intend to stop at some point, maybe they would wrap up tomorrow or next. But if the plan is to level the place to the ground, considering the pace at which they are working, we can give them a few more days. But it's been a very busy day from different parts of the state, from this group of Chenpen's house. Everyone has been busy, everyone trying to gain the upper hand in this particular crisis here in Rivers State.
And we know that 24 hours after presenting the budget proposal to a 4-member assembly, the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has now signed it into law. Was due process followed in the passage of the budget?
Due process. I think the issue. That's the question. I think lawyers in the house. I'll leave it to them, and specifically even lawyers who are on the payroll of the different of both groups. The interesting thing about the law is that for every side in this dispute, there seems to be every side in this dispute seems to have some legal backing as it relates to whatever they are doing. So if you ask me if a due process was followed, if I say yes, I can bet you there are 1,001 people who will come out with a lot of legal explanations as to why the answer should be no. If I say no, I can bet you that before the end of the day, there will be a long line of people who will come up with some legal backing as to why the answer should have been yes. So I think we will just have to wait and see. Most of all this, a lot of these issues as to what is legal and is not, would likely eventually be tested in court and perhaps till they get to the Supreme Court. But right now, as I speak to you, that this issue of legality or not is one of the most contentious issues now, because, the assembly members the other 26 members sat at the auditorium in the assembly quarters. The issue is that sitting legal? Now, these lawmakers have explained to me that the assembly is the people and not the building. Meanwhile, the other side have said you cannot hold any sitting outside the hallowed chamber where the assembly was proclaimed. So these are the issues. That's how I choose to answer that question. I'll leave it at that and allow the politicians to continue to do their thing in terms of who is legal, explaining and defending who is legal and who is not.
All right, Uche Okocha, we thank you very much for that update. Uche, for us in Rivers State. Away from